Ah, I could finally hear that voice again. I felt so relieved. All that pain and suffering had been worth it. I had 8 new emails, all of which were spam. Ready to fuck a sexy college-age loli? My husband cheated on me. Those eyes are those eyes. Von Nanami. Also doch nicht alles Spam eigentlich. Urgent applicants needed. 20 positions open. I had a great time last night. You have been gifted an honorary deposit. Having mind blowing sex. I am a hopeless perv. Be my fuck party. Actually, hidden among the spam was an email with a strange subject line and even a stranger sender. I groaned reflexively. What the hell was Nanami trying to prank me? If she was, then it was a pretty shitty thing to do. I genuinely wanted to punch her in the face. No. Wait a minute. There was no reason for me to get an email from Nanami. She had never contacted me using my computer's email address before. She had always just texted me on my phone like she had earlier. And not only that, but I had never even given her my email address. Was it just a coincidence? A fluke? Nanami was a common first name after all. And the phrase "those eyes are those eyes" had become so popular, pretty much everyone was using it. There was nothing strange about it being used as a subject for a spam email. But just to soothe my anxiety, I decided to check the contents.
結構な長文だな。さっきはチャットで話ができて楽しかったよ。ちなみに送信者の名前はダミー。僕の名前は将軍だよ。
Ah, wer hätte das gedacht? Shogun? No, it couldn't be.
将軍が僕のメアド知ってるはずが。
Wait, what if Shogun had read my mind? If he had done that, figuring out my email address would be child's play.
嘘でしょ
Those eyes are those eyes from Nanami to Takumi. It was fun chatting with you earlier. Before anything else, though, I should mention the sender name is an alias. My actual name is Shogun. I'm glad Ayase-san's safe. I initially planned to paint her as the next victim of my new gen canvas, but suicide works too. You have outdone yourself, Takumi-kun. You've got a new high score. I'm very impressed. You really are something special. But enough about that stuff. Let's talk about Nichijou Nanami-chan. The two of you are siblings, so I would love to... Das kann man nicht mehr lesen. Also erstmal... It was fun chatting with you earlier. Er hat genau 4 Nachrichten geschrieben, ohne dass er irgendeine Antwort gekriegt hat. Also, wenn er das als Spaß empfindet, weiß ich ja nicht. What the hell? The two of you are siblings, so I would love to see some juicy drama unfold between you two. Ever since the earthquake hit, Shibuya has been pretty bloodthirsty. Whether we can reach a conclusion so touching it will blast all away in an instant, that's up to you. It's real hard to clear quests unarmed, isn't it? You're a hero, so don't you feel you deserve a legendary sword to match? I know you do, so I hope you're looking forward to what I've got in store for you. Oh je, kriegt er jetzt sein D-Sword? As I read the email, seeing how friendly he was acting toward me only served to creep me out even more. This guy, he was insane. Why would he? At 9 p.m. tonight, I want you to come to the roof of O-Front. You're gonna be on TV, so make sure you put on a heroic tunic. Now then, let the quest to rescue Nanami begin. P.S. Before I forgot, did you get my present? He was talking about quests and high scores, like this was some sort of game.
僕が勇者なんかじゃない。ナイトハルトじゃない。
He was planning to finally kill me. I couldn't go, there was nowhere I could go. I wanted to run away. Rimi, I need you to protect me. Why wasn't she answering me when I tried to contact her? Maybe she had been injured in the earthquake. But back when I'd seen Mizumi-kun here, didn't mention anything happening to her. I picked up my phone and checked if I hadn't gotten any calls or texts from Rimi.
来てない。
Rimi, where did you go? Right as I thought that, something stopped me. It was my text. At the top of the list, I could see the text Nanami had sent me earlier. Was Nanami okay? I read Shogun's email again from top to bottom. But enough about that stuff. Let's talk about Nishijo Nanami-chan. Now then, let the quest to rescue Nanami begin. What? What was that supposed to mean? Forget that, I should just call Nanami. I opened the address book on my phone, only 3 numbers were registered there. Rimi's, Nanami's, and the number for my parents' house. Nanami was always nagging me to call her. Every time we saw each other, she would bug me about it. Well, since she asked so many times, I guess I should throw her a bone. So please answer. If you don't, I'm never calling you again. I swear to God, if you got injured during the earthquake and aren't answering because of it, I will never let you hear the end of it. I selected Nanami's number and pressed the call button. I put the phone to my ear. I heard nothing. The ringing tone didn't start immediately. It was normal for my phone to take a second whenever I called with it. But right now, that 1 second of silence felt like an eternity. I was getting increasingly antsy.
早くしてよ。よし、繋がった。
Huh? What's that sound? What was that sound? I pulled my phone away from my ear. An unfamiliar melody echoed throughout the room. Could it be a ringtone? Oh nee, hat unsere Schwester ihr scheiß Handy bei uns gelassen. Rose phone was ringing. But with the timing, what else could it be? Shook my head. I had never heard Nanami's ringtone, so there was no proof that the melody I was hearing was it. No proof at all. I was getting scared now. I pressed my phone back to my ear. Nanami still wasn't answering. Please pick up the phone already. Maybe I should call my parents instead. That would be the fastest way to get a hold of her. Ignoring the mysterious ringtone I had been hearing for the last few seconds, I hung up the phone. It stopped. The mysterious ringtone stopped. My room suddenly grew quiet. It wasn't completely exact, but I was still sure for one thing. The song stopped. At the almost exact same time, I had hung up the call.
なんで
I was becoming more and more confused. Not knowing what else to do, I started looking around the room over and over again, but no matter how much I looked around, my brain refused to process any of it. I was just making myself dizzy. My mind had gone completely blank. Once again, I tried calling Nanami. Maybe this time the ringtone won't play and Nanami will answer the phone. In my days, those were the faint hopes I clung to. Only for those hopes to be swiftly crushed. Less than 2 seconds after the call started, the happy-go-lucky melody started playing once more. There was no mistaking it. I couldn't avert my eyes from reality anymore.
この部屋にある。
Nanami's phone was in this room. But why? Had Nanami forgotten it here, or... P.S. Before I forget, did you get my present? This wasn't happening. It couldn't be. It didn't matter how much sense it made. It just couldn't be true. I slowly lowered the hand holding my phone. I couldn't even blink. My throat was dry as a desert. Even still, I searched for the source of the sound. This time I slowly, ever so slowly, examined each and every object scattered throughout the room. I hated myself more than ever for not cleaning my room. If I only was more organized, I could have spotted where it was coming from immediately. Where the hell was it coming from? That box. The song was coming from inside of it. It was the size of about 2 Eroge-Cases. Genau, das ist nämlich auch eine perfekte Größenbeschreibung. Wie groß 2 Boxen von Eroge-Packungen sind. Ja, nee, ist klar. At first, I thought it was something I had bought online, but there was nothing printed on it. There wasn't even a shipping label either. It was sealed with duct tape. Had this large box always been there? Had it fallen from the bed during the earthquake?
いや、
It couldn't have. I'd never seen it before. If it was something I had bought online, I would have opened it straight away. If it was something I had sold and was shipping to someone else, I would have sent it off the moment I sealed it up. For a second, I considered that maybe Nanami had dropped it off, but I couldn't remember her bringing in a cardboard box of this size. Which could only mean, during the hour I had been at school, someone had entered my base. I have a present for you. I hope it pleases you. My heart was beating out of my chest. In a panic, I went to check the lock on my door. A chill ran down my spine. Earlier in the day, when I had wandered outside my base, I didn't remember locking the door. I couldn't blame myself. At the time, I'd been suffering from a stabbing headache, and I was really dizzy. When I'd come back from school an hour later, I hadn't locked the door then either. Anyone could have easily gotten in. Was it Shogun? Had Shogun really broken in? I looked at the box again. The song was still playing. Nanami's phone was in there. I nervously lifted the cardboard box. It was heavy. With how heavy it was, there was no way there was just a phone inside. It weighed about the same as 500 milliliters of soda. I was hesitant to open it. I had a very bad feeling about this.
こんなの開きたくないよ。
But there was nothing else I could do. I had to open it. I was too worried about Nanami. She was a total brat, but at the end of the day, she was still my little sister. Nanami's phone was in the box. In other words, someone had taken her phone from her. Now then, let the quest to rescue Nanami begin. That had been in Shogun's email. I looked at the clock. It was already past 7:30 p.m. Nanami might be in danger. I had no choice but to open it. My heart refused to stop pounding. Large drops of sweat began trickling down my forehead. With a moan, I wiped away the sweat with the back of my hand, and then I slowly tore off the shoddily applied duct tape.
やだやだやだやだやだやだやだやだやだやだやだやだ
Mumbling that like a prayer, I opened the box. What the fuck is that? Inside was a lump of aluminium foil packed carefully with cushioning material. I peeked fearfully inside the box, but the phone was nowhere to be seen. The song was coming from inside the foil. Sweat got in my eyes and it stung. Before I knew it, my entire body had gotten soaked in sweat. No, I can't do this anymore. Why me? Why does it have to be me? I nearly said those tearful complaints aloud. I pleaded with Seratan for comfort, but she didn't say anything. A myriad of delusions swirled within my head, so much so that it felt like it was on the verge of exploding. I couldn't even focus hard enough to have a delusional conversation with Seratan. My mind was racing so fast I couldn't even think straight. And yet, despite the near shutdown of my brain, the happy-go-lucky melody from the phone kept assaulting me relentlessly.
あげるぞ
Having made up my mind, I pinched the edges of the aluminium foil with my fingers. Closed my eyes, held my breath, and tore off the aluminium foil in one go. I could hear the song even more clearly than before. I was too afraid to open my eyes. I tried as hard as I could to catch my breath, but to no avail. It was fine. Everything was fine. There was nothing to be afraid of. It was just a harmless prank from Nanami. Just wait, any second now Nanami was gonna burst into my room with a big smile on her face yelling, "Surprise, haha, I got you!" Yeah, I was sure of it. There was no reason to even consider anything else. Once she did that, I would lay into her like never before. Then I would never talk to her ever again. Go on, Nanami, prove me right. I had to open my eyes. I couldn't keep staring at the darkness. Not looking at it was only making things worse. All I did was force me to imagine what horrors might be inside. Couldn't handle any more terrifying delusions. And so, I slowly opened my eyes and saw it. Lying in the foil was a hand. A cleanly severed, slender hand. Grasped in that hand was a phone identical to mine, and wrapped around its wrist was...
へえ、かわいいバングルじゃん。じゃあさ、これナナにちょうだい。ひひ、お兄、どう？似合う？
A yellow leather band that had turned crimson. A bangle.
ここからは少し専門的な話になりますが。
君は元医師だろ。患者に説明するように分かりやすく簡潔に話してもらえるとありがたい。
努力しましょう。さて、人間の脳の中にある何億という脳細胞、それらは細い神経の糸を出し合ってそれぞれに手をつないでいるような格好をしています。しかし実際には各神経の先端にある手と手の間にはごくわずかな隙間が空いているんですよ。脳細胞に情報の電気信号が送り出されると、その神経の手のひらから極小の物質ドーパミンがボールのように飛び出してきます。それは反対側の神経の手のひらにキャッチされ、再度情報の電気信号に変わってまた隣の脳細胞に伝わっていく。脳の構造は簡単に言うとその繰り返しです。我が社が開発した第2世代ノア2はこの部分に干渉することで人に疑似的な映像を見せることを可能としました。
ホログラムのようなものか。
あるいは幻覚かな。
幻覚の方が近いでしょう。ですが明確に違う点として、その疑似的映像は確かな存在感があるものとして映るということです。人間の目、視覚というのは実に興味深いものです。視野は単眼の場合、鼻側60度、耳側100度程度、両眼の重複視野は120度で、周辺視野を含めれば180度から200度もの視界が広がっているのです。その一方で、以前ご説明したようなデッドスポットもまた存在する。脳にとって視覚とは最もつながりの深い部位です。脳はそのおよそ 80% を視神経情報の処理のためだけに使っている。
その点については300人委員会も注目しておる。
人間の視覚にはまだまだ謎が多い。世界中で研究テーマとして上がっているものだけでも1000以上に及ぶからね。
アメリカで数年前に発行された行政命令、機密の人体研究に対する保護の強化というのは委員会による圧力ですか？
圧力ではない。これは選定だよ。
300人委員会はどこの馬の骨とも知れん研究者がこの分野に足を踏み入れることを歓迎せん。当然ながらアメリカだけではなく世界各国にも同様の指示は出ている。
我が国は随分自由のようですね。私のような人間を放置しているぐらいですから。
勘違いしてはいかんな。何のために我々がいると思っている。
君はすでに選定済みなんだよ。だからこそ君には何よりも成果が求められている。
300人委員会をも出し抜けるような成果というわけですね。
うかつな口を聞くなと言っておる。
今はまだ我らの真の目的を誰にも悟られてはならない。たとえ委員会に対してもね。
これは失礼。
説明を続けたまえ。
ノア2が生み出した疑似的映像は視神経パルスに変換して電磁波として照射します。 対象の皮膚や頭蓋骨を貫通して直接ドーパミン受容体、つまり先ほどの説明でいうところの手のひらにキャッチさせるのです。そしてデッドスポットへと最終的に落とし込まれる。特に G レートの高いエリアの人々は空中の映像パルス信号を敏感にキャッチします。混乱した脳はその疑似的映像を現実だと判断することになります。これが人間の視界の中に無から有を作り出すメカニズムです。ノア2を用いれば街中のどこを見ても先生の選挙ポスターだらけなどという芸当も容易というわけです。ただしあくまで人々のバイオリズムが高い状態であることが条件ですが、
幻覚によって意志を誘導するか。沈黙の兵器とシステムは同じというわけだね。条件さえ満たせば対象の見ている世界を自在に書き換えることができる。
それはギガロマニアックスと同等の力ということか。
その通りです。ノア2は機械仕掛けのギガロマニアックスと言ってもいいでしょう。理論値通りに稼働を始めればギガロマニアックスたちと同等、いや近い将来それ以上の能力を再現できるようになります。
だが効果の有効範囲はどうなっている？電磁波は垂れ流しなのかね？
それでは汎用性という点がおろそかになる。我々は無差別な洗脳を望んでおるわけではない。対象は選定できなければ無意味だぞ。
ご心配なく。そのために機能因子を用意してあります。モニターをご覧ください。
なんだこの小汚い連中は。
我が社ではポーターと呼んでいます。言い換えればマインドコントロールのための部隊といったところでしょうか。彼らが背負っているリュックの中にはノア2のパルス波を送受信するためのポートが入っています。ポートは信号を受け取るとリモートで周囲へと放出するわけです。
歩く端末というわけか。それならば有効範囲の制限などない等しいな。
限定的使用も問題ないことになるね。
状況は理解した。貴様は引き続き計画を続行したまえ。
ただし300人委員会に悟られるような言動はくれぐれも慎むよう。
あとは何人犠牲を出そうと構わん。
ご理解いただきありがとうございます。それではポーターとして使える人材を提供していただきたいです。
手配しよう。
それと引き続き先生方にはメディアのコントロールをお願いいたします。すべては我ら3人の目指す理想のため。
Ich will auf jeden Fall noch das Kapitel zu Ende machen, deswegen, ja, das wäre angenehm. Und ich habe jetzt gerade erst bemerkt, Seratan hat in ihrem Design und an ihrem Kniestrümpfen so eine Augen und auch oben auf ihrem Hut hat sie da unten ein Auge und auch an den Ärmeln hat sie Augen und auch an den Handschuhen links sieht man eins. Also aus irgendeinem Grund hat die überall Augen, die alle in Richtung des Spielers, also in Richtung von mir, beziehungsweise der Kamera gucken. Finde ich gerade ein bisschen, ja, okay. Nee, auf jeden Fall, ich möchte das Kapitel halt noch auf jeden Fall machen, ne? Wäre nicht schlecht. Ich habe vorhin kurz nebenbei mir ein YouTube durchgeskippt. Müsste man ungefähr vielleicht noch eine Stunde oder so haben, höchstens. Hoffe ich.
えてるっしょ？
聞こえてるよ、セーラタン。
あのさ、もうこのゲーム終わりにしようよ。
ゲーム？
ナナミッチはタッキーの大事な妹だってのはわかるけど、きっともう手遅れだよ。
そんなこと。そんなことないよ。
だって腕を切り落とされちゃったらさ、普通出血多量で死んじゃうっしょ？ゲームだったら違うかもだけど。
なんでナナミは。
もうさ、ゲームオーバーなんだよ、きっと。早くゲームをやめないと、もっとたくさん人が死んじゃう。
でもセーラタンだって悪い奴と戦ってるじゃないか。
だって私はアニメでも
Eine, ja, gegen diese Logik kann man nicht argumentieren. Sie bietet, sie verkloppt die Bösen, weil sie ist von einem Anime. Ja. Ja, klingt richtig. I forcefully shoved Seratan's figure inside the inner pocket of my uniform.
助けなきゃ。僕が。
I had brought Seratan as a good luck charm. In a normal situation, I would never get caught dead carrying around a figure, because it could get damaged, obviously. Destroying your precious waifu was the most horrible thing an otaku could do. But right now, I couldn't bring myself to abide my usual policies. I needed the emotional support above all else. And on top of that, I might not live to see another day anyway. I took one last glance at Seratan. Her head was sticking out of the pocket, and by doing so I managed to hold back the tears that were on the verge of flowing out. Suddenly, someone bumped into me from behind, making me stumble. I turned around to see some Dekyun staring at me with an annoying look, yet, much more to my surprise, he didn't say anything. He simply vanished into the crowd. I looked around. I was at Scramble Crossing. The crowd was huge. It was hard to believe it was 9 p.m. on a weekday, not to mention the very same day an earthquake had killed 100 people. I felt like I was suffocating waiting for the pedestrian signal. People were surrounding me from every direction. And for some reason I wasn't aware of, the media was flooding into. People with huge TV cameras were forcing themselves onto the road, halting traffic. The flashes coming from them every couple seconds nearly blinded me. A group of people who were likely reporters were giving passionate speeches to their respective cameras. A few policemen were attempting to shoo away the mass media and pedestrians standing on the road, but gaining back control of the situation seemed pretty much impossible. It was like a paradise for people without cars. Were they holding some kind of event? Why is this late? Why today? Considering 100 people had died, that was definitely in a bad taste. Didn't they have any kind of respect? And if there was an event, it was crazy that even the mass media was joining in on the insanity. Japan was over. Meh. Not that it mattered to me.
助けなきゃ。僕が助けなきゃ。
Meine Shogun hat gesagt, dass er im Fernsehen sein wird. The place Shogun had told me to go was O-Front, a building which sat right in front of Scramble Crossing, the one with the Tatsuya and Star Bricks located inside it. Ich finde es gerade schlimm, dass ich so viel Persona 5 gespielt habe, dass ich genau weiß, welches Gebäude gemeint ist. I really didn't want to come alone, but I couldn't get in touch with Rimi no matter how many times I tried. And the police were probably still mistaking me for the new gen culprit, so I couldn't go to them. Ja gut, ich sag mal so, er hat eine E-Mail vom Culprit und einen abgeschnittenen Arm von seiner Schwester, den er nicht angefasst hat, weswegen da vielleicht Spuren vom Täter sind und nicht von ihm. Das wäre vielleicht ein gutes Argument, aber gut. Stresssituation, da macht man Fehler natürlich. But the time Shogun had said was getting closer and closer. I was too worried about Nanami to stay home, so I had no choice but to go there while holding on Seiratan. I carved a path through the sea of people and somehow managed to get inside O-Front. Unfortunately for me, it was pretty crowded inside too, but I didn't even have the strength to be upset about it. The only thing on my mind were my prayers for Nanami's safety. I took the escalator that led to the upper floors. Using one of the windows inside the star bricks, I was able to look down towards Scramble Crossing. Now that I was looking at it from above, it was even more crowded than I thought. And they weren't just standing there either. Some were waving, some were jumping, and some were doing both. Countless dark heads bobbed up and down. It was even more blinding now than I was down there. It felt like all the lights were pointing at me. With each new floor the escalator brought me to, my heartbeat got faster and faster. I took out my phone to check the time. There was 1 minute left before 9 p.m., the time he had set. The thought of Shogun killing Nanami out of anger terrified me so much that I started springing up the steps of the escalator, pushing aside anyone in my way. I changed to an elevator to access the top floor. I didn't know how to get on the rooftop after that, but I wandered around. I spotted an emergency staircase. No one stopped me as I shot through it, and I successfully made my way to the rooftop. A strong wind was blowing. Considering it was the end of October, it was weirdly lukewarm outside. It took a minute, but I soon realized it wasn't a natural breeze, but one blown by the outdoor AC unit. I buttoned the front button of my uniform so that Seiratan wouldn't fall out.
ありがとう、ボケナス。
どういたしまして。
I felt a slight sense of relief when I heard Seiratan's voice in my head. Seiratan was with me, so there was nothing to be afraid of. I desperately tried to convince myself of that. Before that moment, I had yet to realize how dark it was. The only source of light was from the back of the lit O-Front sign. Ironically, the neon lights from the surrounding buildings were too bright for me to see anything. If someone was hiding in the shadows, I would have been incapable of seeing them. My heartbeat, which had started to finally calm down, skyrocketed once again after hearing those words break the silence. I looked all around me, but I was unable to figure out what direction the voice had come from. And then I heard a sound, a squeaking sound, that I heard several times before. This time I deliberately focused my gaze into the rampant darkness. There I spotted the glow, the backlit outline of a wheelshare's wheels. Shogun. He was talking to me like he knew me, like we were friends. It felt so wrong. Goosebumps sprang up on my skin. I didn't even want to talk to him. I was too scared. I wanted to get out of there as soon as possible.
じゃあ、逃げちゃおうよ。このままじゃタッキー殺されちゃう。
But Nanami was.
君はすごく勇気のある人だ。ちゃんと一人で来てくれるとは。 ありがとうと言っておくよ。
Wait a minute. Something was off about him. He was different from before. Yeah, his voice. Something was off about his voice.
その声。
声なんてただの空気の振動でしかないよ。
どう聞こえるかは、その場の条件によって変わる。
そうだろ？
What was going on? His voice kept changing. Was he using some kind of voice changer? Did he want to hide who he was by disguising his voice? Why now then? Why hadn't he before? Set aside though, I wasn't following what he was saying.
タッキーを混乱させようとしてるんさ。油断しちゃったね。誰の言葉も信じちゃダメ。
You're right. You're completely right, Seratan. Seratan always spoke nothing but the truth. I tightly squeezed Seratan's body through my clothes.
ななみは、どこ？
It felt like my heart was about to burst from fear. Even still, I desperately forced out my voice. I thought stuff like this only happened in TV and video games.
ななみは、もう死んだの？
ダウト。だって手首ちょん切られちゃったんだろ。もし生きてるにしても、もうすぐ出血多量で死んじゃうのは変わんないよ。
Tears began to flow. Nanami's sulking face appeared in my mind. Honestly, she was a brat, a really annoying one. And yet despite that, I was so sad. Sad enough for tears to flow.
ななみは僕の妹なんだ。僕の大切な。なんで殺したんだ。ひどいよ。
死んだと思う。もしかしたら君の家に送ったあの手首は別人のものかもしれない。バングルと携帯はナナミちゃんのものだとしても、手首そのものは別人のものかもしれないっていうこと。
Nanami was alive?
信じちゃダメだってば。
君が見事クエストをクリアしたら、ナナミちゃんは返すよ。生きているナナミちゃんを、ね。
Quest. Shogun had used that word again. Did he want me to think of this like a game? But the real me wasn't a hero. He wasn't anything like
で
one.
ももしクリアできなかった場合、ナナミちゃんは帰ってこない。
Suddenly, Shogun's voice became cold as ice. Getting scared of some old guy like this was pathetic, but this man wasn't normal. This man was the new gen culprit.
だから僕を失望させないようやり遂げてほしい。君ならできるよ。
なんで僕なの？僕じゃなくても、僕なんかじゃなくてもいいじゃないか。
君でなくちゃダメなんだ。
だからなんで？
君は選ばれた人間だから。
I was the chosen one?
勘違いしちゃダメだよ、タッキー。あいつの言う選ばれたってのは、次の犠牲者として選ばれたって意味なんだから。
The tragic end of all the new gen victims flashed through my mind, sending shivers down my spine.
君は今日の昼間のことをもちろん覚えているよね。
昼間？
学校で君は岸本綾瀬を助けた。
Shogun had also mentioned Ayase's suicide attempt in the email. He must have been observing the whole debacle from somewhere. Or maybe he had been mind controlling Ayase. Maybe he was the reason she tried to kill herself.
岸本綾瀬は一命を取り留めた。そうでしょ？
Shogun knew about my power. Back at school, no one had even questioned the existence of the flower bed. The only one that had was Senna. Then she had gone on to accuse me.
お前が妄想したんだろ。タッキー、将軍の言うことは全力で否定して。
Right. Maybe the entire reason why Shogun was following me around, why he was trying to kill me, was because I had powers. If I claimed that I didn't have any powers, maybe he had let me go off the hook.
僕にはそんな力ない。
力？力って何のこと？僕はそんな言葉は一言も使っていないが。
Shit.
タッキーには力なんてないよ。ただの妹なんだよ。タッキーはヒーローの素質なんてないさ。私にハーハーしてるだけの無害の引きこもり予備軍。そうっしょ？
Yeah. The idea that I had an actual real-life powers was nothing more than puny bullshit I had dreamed up. I'd almost been convinced by what Senna and Ayase had told me. But those two were raging mental cases. They weren't right in the head. And I wouldn't be much better if I actually just believed them without a second thought. Even Rimi had said it was delusional.
詳しく説明してくれない？あの花壇のこと。
僕がやったっていう証拠はあるの？花壇を何もないところから出現させるなんて、そんなの僕には無理。
花壇が何もないところから出現したんだ。他の人は誰もが最初からそこに花壇があったって話していたけど、君だけは花壇は最初はそこになかったってそう認識しているわけだ。
No, I dug my grave even deeper. What kind of monster was this guy? When he had mentioned that he had talked to everyone, did that mean he had physically gone to my school and talked to the people there?
僕は力なんてない。自分でも一体どうやったのか。
でも使えた。君が妄想したことが現実になった。
惑わされないで。タッキー、本当に力なんてあると思う？そんなのアニメの世界じゃん。タッキーがいるのは現実なんだよ。
Bin ganz ehrlich, ich warte schon die ganze Zeit drauf, dass Shogun sagt, dass seine Figuren die Klappe halten sollen oder sowas. Das wäre jetzt noch irgendwie eine coole Sache.
ただのことも、綾瀬っちが二人に分裂したことも、それらが現実だったって証明できる？無理っしょ？分裂した綾瀬っちの体に触った？
No.
ただの幻かも。そもそもタッキーはあの時、警察とかユアッチに追われて動転してたし。
Then what about the flower bed?
同じだよ。花壇は最初からそこにあった。タッキーはリミッチを探してあそこへ行った時、頭が痛くてフラフラしてた。綾瀬っちが落ちるまでにはっきりとそこに花壇があることを確認した。みんな誰一人として花壇が出現したことを疑問に思ってないってことはさ、逆に言えば最初からそこにあったから疑問に思わないってことっしょ。タッキーが間違えてただけなんだよ。将軍の言葉に惑わされちゃダメ。
花壇は最初からそこにあった。
I repeated what Seratan had said.
最初はそこにはなかったって思い込んでたけど、記憶違いだった。 僕の脳内での妄想だよ。だって、みんなあそこには花壇があったって言ってるんでしょ。力とかそういうわけのわからないものじゃなくて、ただの思い込みだったんだ。
いいや、君には力がある。そうだろ？
死にたくない。
そうだろ？
わからない。殺さないで。
君は自分の天才的な力についてもっと自覚するべきだよ。その潜在能力はすごすぎる。君なら世界を変えることだってできるんだ。
I wanted to go home. I wanted to hole up inside my base and play ESO forever, glued to a chair for eternity like a disabled person. I wanted to spend my days grinning over Seratan's figure and marathoning Bloodtune on loop. That was all I wished for.
タッキー、早く逃げて。私がずっと一緒にいてあげる。私だけがタッキーの味方なの。だから帰ろう。三次元とのつながりなんて断ち切って楽しいことだけして生きよう。